I'm like, come on, just go live. We're live! Hooray!
Oh,
Okay,
oh my
perfect.
God.
So, hello, George. Thank you for
Hi.
joining me.
Thanks for
um,
having me. This is so exciting.
I'm so excited. Like, as soon as I knew you had a book coming out, I was like, one, I have to read that, and then two, like, I want to talk to George about it when it's out. So,
Oh, I'm so,
and
so
it's almost
glad.
out because technically it comes out tomorrow, although things. So, for
Oh,
those that don't know George, can you tell everyone a little bit about yourself and about your debut novel? How would you pitch it?
okay. Wow. Okay. So my name is George Lester. Hello. I make YouTube videos on a fairly regular basis. I am a musical theatre actor under the name George Lennon and a drag queen under the name That Girl. The book, Boy Queen, is my debut YA novel. It's the story of a boy called Robin Cooper who, right at the beginning of the book, is so sure that he's going to go to drama school come September, but then gets a bunch of rejection letters through his door and has his entire life like pulled out from under him. In a bid to cheer him up, his best friends take him to a local queer space called Entity and a show called Dragcellence, where he is captivated by a drag queen who goes by the name of Kay Bai. And it is through seeing Kay Bai that he realizes there might be a more sparkly path ahead of him. And queer coming of age story, lots of really, really stupid jokes that I never thought would make it through the edit, and so much drag. It's Dumplin meets RuPaul's Drag Race by way of Gilmore Girls. That was my original pitch line, and I think it still applies.
I love that. That's wonderful. Oh, I love that so much. Okay, perfect. So wonderful. I'm glad that you figured out how to do a pitch because I know that like every time I see a debut author talking about their book, especially at the very beginning, they're like, "Oh no, how do I do this?" But like you've got it down.
Honestly, I've had the amount of videos that I have made talking about the book, because obviously we're in the corona times. So I've
Yes.
made so many videos talking about it, and I have to introduce the book. So I've slowly managed to like figure out my way around the plot, and I think we finally got it that I can do it without having to like edit it a million times in iMovie afterwards.
Oh yeah, I know that feeling. Like I do a lot of like, especially when I'm making videos, I try to like say a whole sentence and somehow just can't most of the time. So like there's a lot of jump cuts in my videos just
Oh
because
my
I'm
God,
like
so many. It's just sometimes it's just really hard being a person.
it really is. I agree. Okay, so your book baby is technically out tomorrow. Her birthday is tomorrow, but you've already seen her on shelves. And how has that been like?
That's been honestly the most surreal thing. Like I used to work at, so getting pictures of it was one thing. Like I got a lot of people sending me pictures when it was appearing on shelves, which made me cry. Like I was in the middle of a singing lesson when people were sending me these pictures on Instagram. So I like finished my singing lesson, sat on the floor to look at my phone. I don't know why, but I was, and just started crying because it was like such a weird experience. And then actually got to go into the bookshop I used to work in on on Sunday this week and like actually get to see it on the, I mean they've had a refurb so it's not exactly the same, but it's like the same place where the shop was, so it's like walking in and being like, that's me. I used to walk around this shop being like pointing at the bit where I'd be on the shelves, like being really irritating and being like, I'd be there, and now I'm actually there, and it's just the weirdest and funnest thing ever.
Yeah, I saw when I woke up this morning that you're right next to Harper Lee.
How did that
Which
happen?
I know, right?
Like oh my God, like I mean walking into a shop and seeing that I was next to David Levithan, who like I mean this is this is basically a
Mhm.
Levithan shelf.
Oh yes.
So that was a huge moment because I'm a huge fan of his. I'm very, very lucky that I get to call him a friend as well. Like, and it's just the weirdest thing to be like sat on a shelf with him. It's like we're book friends as well as like
Yeah,
life friends, which is kind of cool.
book buddies. I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I saw that it had come out in Waterstones a little bit early, and I was just like, oh, that's so exciting. Like, it's out in the world already. That's so cool.
It's so strange, but also it's fun to see who they put me next to on a table, because like
Mhm.
that's always really cool. Like because when I was a bookseller, like I try and put like things that are similar near other things that are similar, and I don't
Mhm.
know how other people do their pyramid tables, and it's kind of being next to like Simon James Green or Bethany Rutter. God, I can't remember who I was next. Wrangle Stone by Darren Charlton. Like, there's so many different like combinations, and I was on a table with Adam Silvera, Simon James Green, Lev Rosen, and just like in Waterstones Newcastle, like that came through today, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what is this? It's wild.
Yeah, just looking at all of these people you already know, and then you're there too, and you're like, what?
These people whose books that I really love, and it's like, one of these things is not like the other. One of these things is brand new.
But definitely belongs.
Bless your heart.
I mean, I loved the book. You know I loved the book because I'm also a theater kid. Like, I went to university for theater before I ran away to Europe and all that type of thing. So, and one of the things I know that I told you after finishing the book is it, like most good art, made me want to do theater things again and made me want to do performance things again, because it's just so much in love with performing in any way that you can and learning new performance. So, like, love it. I love it so much.
I just really wanted, like, I think the thing that was one of the hardest things to write about was kind of getting that love of like performing across. Like, I know it's hard to write about live performance and make it seem live. Like, that was something that I was like, how? Like,
yeah.
Because obviously when you're in it and when you're watching it, like, obviously it's like incredible, but like having to figure out a way to get that into words was an experience.
Yeah, how to get it like on the scene so like people feel like they're in the middle of it, because yeah, a lot of Robin's time is like being like off the stage watching people and just being captivated, and it's I can understand how it would be hard to like make that something that comes across, but you did it. So.
And live performance is such like a lived experience, like it's so personal as well, like different things affect different people, so it was trying to get that across, and I'm glad that it worked, so thank you.
Yeah, no, I definitely personally, in Dublin, the one gay bar that I went to all the time when I lived in Dublin was actually called The George, funnily enough. Yes. And I used to always go on like Wednesday drag nights or whenever it was. So like I was picturing the actual venue and picturing like watching everything on the stage from that venue while I was reading it. And I was like, this is just so lovely.
I really love that.
Yeah, I loved it too, because I haven't been back there since, I was actually there in 2013 the last time I went, because a bunch of us were already in Europe and all just kind of met up in Ireland for St. Patrick's Day, and I had a friend who was just about to come out and actually be like, hey, by the way, I have different pronouns and a different name, and it was their birthday, and they were like, can you take me to the gay bar?
Yeah.
I was like, yes, I can. So it was wonderful.
That's glorious. I love that.
Oh, it was so good. I loved it so much. You wrote this in a very, very short time frame, and at the request of your literary agent, if I'm not incorrect. How did all of that come about?
Oh, so it was at the request of my now editor.
Editor, sorry. I knew I was wrong.
I used to work with my editor. My editor used to be my line manager. This was like, oh God, this was a few years ago now. This is before I went and did my master's in musical theatre. And while I went to do my master's in musical theatre, abandoned publishing, and it was there that I, as part of the master's degree, had to do a 45-minute solo show. And I knew very early on that I wanted to do a drag show because I was a fan of RuPaul's Drag Race, and like so many drag babies, it's like, Drag Race, do drag, yay. But then obviously found so much more like wonderfulness and wonderful drag thanks to Joe Parslow, who is my MA advisor. He's wonderful. His husband is a drag queen who goes by the name of Me. Oh God, such a good, like an incredible drag queen, cannot cope. But anyway, after I'd done that, I was still like painting my face and doing drag and posting photos. And Rachel Petty, who is an incredible editor and is responsible for so many of my favorite books, like before I worked with her and since, got in touch and said, I've had a dream about a book where a teenage boy wants to be a drag queen, and I think you should write it. So I wrote a sample. I wrote a bad sample. And I sent that, and she sent back some notes and was like, more this, less this. And I was like, cool, this is what I'm going for, and rewrote the sample and then sent that. And so it all happened very, very fast, and suddenly it was like, cool, we're taking this to a meeting to like see if we're going to buy it. And I was like, right, I need to tell my agent that I'm doing this. I need to tell my agent that this is happening, because I didn't want to include, because I'm very like, I'm the optimistic pessimist. Like I feel like I'm like, everything's going to be great, but it might not. And like so I was kind of being like, I don't want to bother him or be annoying, like until I need to be annoying. So it was like, and I didn't want to bother him with something that wouldn't happen, but then it was happening, and I was like, I need your help. And he was very like, okay, cool, be calm. It could still fall through at this stage. Like, just be really zen about the whole thing. I have a video of me from the day that it happened. I am the most un-zen that I have ever been in my life. Literally, the night before it went to like the meeting where they decide if they're going to buy it and stuff, I stress ate an entire packet of Jelly Babies. Like I was fully in my feelings. And I was just like, what? But yeah, it was originally like, it was a weird thing, because I've been with my literary agent for 5 or 6 years at this point, and like I've written several books that never got picked up, like only two of my books that I've written have gone on submission, and Rachel has read both of them. So it was very much like, he can write, but what do I want him to write? So she wanted me to write that. And
it's like playing that game of like, what do I want this person to write for me?
Well, exactly. And like there's like so many things that have like come about from that. Like Rachel is one of the reasons I think Rachel Petty is incredible is because she is very, I feel like she's very front-footed. Like she wanted a book about a teenage boy who wants to be a drag queen. Who am I going to approach? Someone who does drag. Bing, boy queen appeared. She wanted a book about someone who is fat and who loves themselves and who is like fully into like a really, really confident book where it's not about them changing themselves as a person to fit in or to get the guy or anything like that. So she has No Big Deal by Bethany Rutter. She approached Bethany Rutter about that. Flawed, which is a 7-way collaborative YA novel, which is I had the absolute pleasure of working on. She was like, I want to do this. I don't know how it's going to work, but I want to do it. So she, like, with my help, I helped on that one, but it was like, we're going to go out and do it. And we went out and we did it, and it was kind of amazing. And that's why I love her. God, that was just like a 2 minute, 2 minutes on why my editor is amazing.
I mean, she deserves it.
Hard agree.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, I really enjoyed finding out that story of just like, hey, I had this dream. Please write this thing for me. And you're like, yeah, of course I will. I love it so much.
It's just so like, I mean, it's one of those weird things where it's like, did that happen? Like, what? It's just that, I mean, it's one of those things. It's like that stuff doesn't happen to people, and then it does, and it's like, oh, okay, cool.
The exception that proves the rule, or whatever that phrase.
Whatever that thing is, I'm that, which is kind of fun. I like that.
Yeah. Do you have any good resources for learning more about the history of drag besides the sometimes problematic show that we all watch and enjoy?
So if you want to learn more about drag, I would take the things that you hear on the problematic show with a pinch of salt. And because, okay, so one thing that I will never ever forget is that literally on an episode of All Stars, RuPaul said that that the first brick at Stonewall was thrown because we were all the gay community was sad because Judy Garland had died. And it was like, that's not true. Why are you saying that on a giant TV show? What is wrong with you? But anyway, so take things with a pinch of salt and make sure you're reading around it. There are fantastic articles that have all left my mind at this point. But I recommend seeing as much local drag as you can. I think whether it's finding, obviously at the moment there are no shows happening physically, but there are so many drag queens who are doing live Instagram shows, live YouTube shows that are just absolutely sensational. And like, what is that thing where it's like something is the mother of invention? I don't know what the actual phrase is. I'm not smart enough, but like something is the mother of invention. And basically, because we're in lockdown, it's making these drag queens be so innovative in the things that they are making, the way that they are creating content. So go and find it because it's out there and it will absolutely blow your mind. There is a book coming out called The Art of Drag, which I have on a shelf. Can I see it? Is it in my eye line? Can I grab it? Because it's stunning.
Necessity is the mother
I
of
can see it.
invention. I found
That's
it
the
on the
one.
internet.
Like the need to create something and the need to have to perform creates these opportunities for people. I'm going to grab the book because I can see it. Bear
Totally.
with.
Good. I love that you can see the little hat he wore in his live stream when he did a whole, for those of you who are still here because George is gone, did a whole live stream doing a makeup look for his book, and there's the little hat on his shelf right there that he wore in that look, and it was wonderful.
The sheer chaotic energy of like running to my shelves to grab them. So we've got The Art of Drag.
Ooh, oh, it's
which
beautiful.
It's so stunning. This got sent to me by, who is publishing this? Because like I'm the worst. I did put it by No Brow Press. It's so beautiful, and it's like fully illustrated and just beyond stunning. So it's got stuff about divine in there, and who else is in here? Like pretty much like everything. So that's amazing. So if you're looking for more stuff on drag, this is incredible to read and also beautiful to look at. If you're feeling academic, RuPaul's Drag Race and the shifting visibility of drag culture, it's a little bit much. It's a lot about, rather than being about drag history, it's kind of about drag with relation to Drag Race and how different things are affected. So it's got things about plus size queens, it's got things about Latin queens, it's got things about Brazil, things like that. So those are two great resources. Otherwise, I think finding drag and finding local drag queens, I think, is a really good way to find that. I think it's so essential to support local queens. I adore RuPaul's Drag Race. I really, really do. I acknowledge that there are many, many parts of it that are so very problematic. I love the show as a TV show. I love what it has given me in terms of like the queens that I am a huge fan of now. But there's so much more. Like, I will never quite understand why at this point in time there are no trans queens that have been on the show, or cisgendered women queens that have been on the show, or kings, for example. It's just there's a whole bunch more drag, and there's so much drag that doesn't fit into the tiny little box that RuPaul's Drag Race makes. And that's nothing against the queens that have been on the show and that have done well on the show, because a lot of them are like some of my favorite queens. But there are drag artists out there that just won't fit the format. Like if you put them on the show, they'd be a first out, and everyone would be like, oh, they're trash, they're first out of the show. And it's like, well, that's not what it is. It's because what they're doing doesn't quite make sense in terms of Drag Race. So like arguably Tammy Brown, for example, from season 1 and All Stars 1, didn't really fit the format of Drag Race, really, which is why she didn't do as well and didn't show how incredible she is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've gone off on one a little bit there, I think.
That's okay. I'd just like to note that there have been trans queens on the show, but the way the show is set up, they weren't allowed to basically transition before they were allowed to be on the show, which is so problematic, especially because like queens are totally fine to like get whatever plastic surgery they want, unless it's gender affirming surgery, which, how dare you, RuPaul, basically.
Well, yes, exactly. Like I think queens like the fact that queens like Peppermint, who have been on the show and have been just sensational, and the fact that, I mean, you hear like there's a podcast called Race Chaser, which is Willem and Alaska, and there's an episode where they talk to Jujubee about, not Jujubee, oh my god, Jiggly Caliente, two different J's in my brain, where they talk to Jiggly Caliente about Jiggly's experience on the show, because Jiggly knew that she was trans before she went on the show, but had to like I don't know, like unfemme herself just and it's just so messed up. It's so messed up. Like it's just that weird. There was a really fun tweet that I saw that was like RuPaul says like something like oh, you can't have like breasts if you're on the show, for example, because it means that you'll have an advantage, and then the challenge is to design a hotel room, and it's like, oh yes, your advantage when designing this hotel room is like being your gender. Like what? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's garbage.
Yes. That was definitely a tangent, but yeah, I could speak on that tangent all day long. And we're talking about your
Mm,
books, so let's do a classic challenge that every author will get
okay.
or in one of these interviews, which is, what is your number one piece of writing advice for anyone who wants to try to write a book?
Okay. So this is advice that I stole from Patrick Ness.
Okay.
Because I asked Patrick Ness this question, and it was the best answer that I think I've ever had, which is to write your joy. And I think, I think if you're not enjoy, so which I've taken to mean like you should enjoy what you're writing. You should love your book, and if you're not enjoying what you're writing, shouldn't you be writing it?
Mm.
Like I think that's one thing that I will always say. Like you and I did a, I was really lucky that I got to do like a virtual school event. Like I did a pre-recorded video, and that was one of the questions, and it was like this should be fun. Like I genuinely think that if you're writing a book or doing anything creative, really, yeah, it'll be hard work, and yeah, there'll be times when you're like, this sucks and I hate it. It should still be fun, because if it's not fun, then like I don't know, what's the point if it's not fun? That's what I think, and maybe that's really simple, but that's kind of where I am. But like but one tip, like one thing that you can do if you're writing or if you're struggling to finish writing, is to take a break, skip ahead. Because like I was watching back a writing vlog the other day. I was feeling sad about my writing, and I decided to watch back an old writing vlog of when I was first writing Boy Queen before I told anyone I was writing it. I was just like, I'm writing this thing and I want to finish it before I went on holiday for undisclosed reasons. And like I skipped what ended up being like 7,000 words worth of content. I was just like, I'm just going to jump to the next bit that I can do, and sometimes that helps too.
Yeah, you don't need to write it in chronological order. You can do whatever scene you feel like writing that day.
Exactly, just do what works. And like writing sprints, oh my god, like it's literally how I get through any bit of writing. Like set a timer for 20 minutes, go, don't edit, just get the words on the page. Like you can't edit something that's not there. And then she rose up to the sky. That was all I have to offer the world.
Yeah. Mic drop. Oh, I love it. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever had anyone dab on my channel. Thank you for that.
I shouldn't do live.
This is what you should do live.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I also remember you talking a little bit about how you wrote a lot of Boy Queen and just like these little in-between stolen moments of like, oh, I have a thing, write it down immediately, email it to myself or whatever.
I think I missed that because I think you cut out, or I cut
Yeah,
out.
you froze too, and I was like, oh no.
Oh no.
No, I remember you saying that you wrote a lot of Boy Queen in like stolen moments, like between meetings or those types of things, which is just so valuable, especially because you were trying to do it on such a quick time frame.
Yeah, like it's so there's this thing that we learned about Mount View called exquisite pressure, which I talk about a lot, which is essentially like having time. So when we had to create a 45-minute show, and legend icon queen that is Cheryl Gow, who was one of the heads of year, taught us about exquisite pressure, which is like because you had to make a 45-minute show, and you're not just going to like you can't just go into a studio for like a whole day and make it. So she was like, set yourself a time frame and you will work in this time and you'll come up with X amount, like set yourself a task. So I take that to be like my writing sprints, or when I used to write, like, because I was doing a show while I was writing Boy Queen, which is the most absolutely lit thing ever to be like, I'm just gonna like write my book during the day and then go and do my musical theatre show in the evening. So like I'm
living your best life.
It was honestly the dream. And so I was like writing on the train, like in and out of, well, mostly just in because I was tired when the show was over, but like I'd write on my way to the theatre, or like I'd write during the day, because it was like I have this space of time. And it was the same when I worked in publishing. I was such a loser. Like I would go downstairs to the refectory and I would put my headphones on, sit in a corner, and I would write for most of my lunch break, because it was like, this is the time that I have to write. And I would always get like so much more done than if I'm like, I'm going to write for a whole day. And I never do. If I ever say I'm going to write for a whole day, I'll write about 2,000 words and then be like, meh, apart from like in a recent thing where I was like, I wrote 10,000 words today. My last writing blog where I was like, this is a really good day. And this is like, what? Life is wild. Life comes at you real fast.
I feel similar about reading, actually, because I'm like, I'm just going to read all day. Like, I don't get any reading done. Whereas if like back in the before times when I would like read on lunch breaks or whatever, I would get way more reading done. So
like I used to read so much when I used to work as a bookseller, when I used to work in publishing. Like I would read so much more because like that time was suddenly so like minuscule and so precious that it was like must do it as often. It must get all of the writing or the reading done. And now I'm just like, now I read less now that I'm like a freelancer than I did when it's life.
Oh, the now times, they are different.
Oh, the times.
Somebody on Instagram asked, was it super fun coming up with the drag names in your book?
Oh my God, it was the absolute funnest. I mean, like when I was starting to do drag, I needed to come up with a name. So some of the names that exist in the book were names that I nearly had. So this was sort of like giving them their due. Like it was sort of like, I want you to still live on, even if you're not living on with me. So like I had like lists on my phone in books, like things that, so there's K-Bye is what I was nearly called. Julie Mandrews and Angela Mansbury. I don't know if Angela Mansbury made it into the book, but Angela Mansbury and Julie Mandrews were two that it was like them, like two of my, like Julie Andrews and Angela Lansbury are like two of my idols. So like I was I was like, do I pay tribute? And then I was like, maybe it's too much. And so some of them are ones that I just like was gonna use myself. And then there are other ones that it was just fun things that I came up with. My favorite story, and I've told this in a blog post on the blog tour, so spoiler, but Pristine Gleaming is so on Katya and Trixie's YouTube show, they say whenever something comes up that sounds like a drag name, they go, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, insert name here. And my boyfriend and I walked past a Joe Malone shop where it had in the window Pristine and Gleaming next to each other, and it was far too close to not to be read as a name. And because I'm unbearable as a human being, I walked past it with Jordan and I was like, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Pristine Gleaming. And then it just stayed in my head and I was like, Pristine Gleaming is going in the book. I don't even care.
It's happening. It's my book. I'll do what I want.
Exactly. And now
side characters will be named whatever.
Now she's real and she exists and I love her.
Oh, that is delightful. I know that you've told this before, but I want to hear it again. How did you settle on that girl for yourself as a drag name?
So, like I said, did a 45-minute drag show for my master's degree. You know, standard. And like I had to come up with a name. It took ages. There are so many names that I didn't go with. Some of the ones that are in the book. Some of the ones that have ended up on like the choose your own drag name thing that we did for my kind of book. On Twitter. Maybe I'll retweet it after this. So if you follow me on Twitter, you can see it. But my name came about because I couldn't decide a name. So I just started referring to her as that girl. Oh yeah, it's that girl. Yeah, it's that girl. And it just sort of stuck. And so the show was called Who's That Girl? And that girl is spelled with a U and 3 R's. So it's that girl. So yeah. Who's that girl? And then like I'm working on a show where I like had an idea for a show and a pitch for a show that obviously hasn't happened because of the Corona times. That was going to be called what was it? Oh my God, what even was it? That girl and that one 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 guy who invited him. Like that's what the title was going to be called. And it was like I came up, like me and my friend Katie came up with it. I think it was mostly Katie's idea, and then we've sort of like worked around it. And it was going to be a thing, and it's not a thing, but it will be one day. But the opportunity for things with that girl in them for titles is practically endless. Like just stick a different thing in front of it. When's that girl? That's my time travel show.
Why is that girl? Yeah,
exactly. Existentialism.
How's that girl?
Exactly. Me crying on a stage for 45 minutes, like a live therapy session.
I've definitely seen that one person show at Fringe before, so yeah, it works.
I think this is what Fringe is.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes, Fringe. I miss Fringe.
I miss theatre so
Oh,
much.
it's so weird that I haven't seen live performances of things in so long, but
Oh my
it's
God,
the
yeah.
times we're in. To get back to a Boy Queen
Oh, yeah.
sort of specific question that I totally forgot I wrote down last night. Theater, drama, and drag are the center of Robin's story. If you had to pick only two of those Elven elements to carry into your next project, what would they be and why?
Theatre, drama, and drag. You said theatre, drama, and drag, right?
I did, yes.
To carry into my next project, I think drama, I feel like, is just something. I feel like everything that I've been working on quite recently, it's quite dramatic. Like I feel like, because I remember this when I was young, and maybe it's because I was a theatre kid as well, but everything feels like it's at a 10 all the time when you're a teenager. Like when you're, and even that happens to me sometimes now, but when you're like 18, 19, everything is like everything. Mm-hmm. So I'd probably keep drama. Maybe drag. I think they should. I think maybe something I should try and put into every book that I have from now on is that there should always be an element of drag in there somewhere. I don't know how, but somehow, somewhere. I want to set all my books in the same world. You see.
Ooh, yes, I like this.
So what I would in like an ideal world, you'll like some characters would go to Entity one night, or they'd, or I don't know, or someone would be in drag somewhere. I don't know. Like they'd be wandering down the street past Entity, and there's Kay smoking outside of Entity or something like that. I don't know. Or Carrie is cussing someone out the door.
Oh, it'd be such a great little Easter egg. I love it.
I think it's kind of one of those things where it's like, this is artistically, this is very wanky, but I'm really into it. But also, like Simon James Green in Heartbreak Boys, in his new book, which comes out tomorrow as well, he mentions one of the characters going to the library and being given a book with a blue cover and a banana on the cover, and I was like, hold on, so Noah Can't Even, your debut novel, exists in the universe of Heartbreak Boys, so like Noah doesn't exist in this world, but the book but you do. It's just like, I was sat outside reading it, and it was one of those moments where it's like, you know, when you're reading a book and you just kind of have an out of body experience, and it's like, it was one of those. It was one of those moments that I had.
Yeah, those moments in books always get me. The most recent one that I can remember is I was reading A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor by Hank Green, and there's a moment in it where there's a book that is picked up, and the first line in it is for my wife Catherine, which is actually the thing at the beginning of the book of this book. So like, it was weird. I liked it a lot. I know, it was like one of those moments. I was like, wait. Yeah.
I love that. That's so meta.
Oh, yes. The self-referencing things. And like, I've read a lot of things that self-reference or do weird things that the audience doesn't always enjoy. Like Stephen King wrote a whole book series where he's a character in it at one point. And a lot of people didn't like that. And I was like, it makes sense with the story, but I can understand why you'd hate it.
So I remember I did an interview with Laura Eve, who wrote The Graces, and this 2-book series called Fearsome Dreamer and The Illusionist, which I absolutely loved. And I remember her telling me that like people exist in the universe of that book, of like her other books as well. And she told me one person that existed somewhere, and I lost my freaking mind. It was so cool. There's another one as well. I can't remember who does it, and it's completely escaped me. I'll remember it at some point. But I like stuff like that. This is what it is. It's like that moment when you're watching a TV show or a musical, and they say the name of the TV show or the musical.
Yes.
Like in the musical Sister Act, when in the second act she sings the song Sister Act, and you just hear a whole audience go, oh.
I do that a lot with I'm rewatching Scandal right now, and because it's on Netflix and it pops up or whatever, you see the episode title, and I always am like, that's the title of the episode, because it comes up in every episode. Not every episode, but most of them. I'm just like, yes, excellent.
I went to see improv group called Showstoppers who do improvised musicals. It's amazing. They're so incredible. And we went to see one, and the show that they were doing was the Eurovision Song Contest. It was like at the Eurovision Song Contest, and it was called Nil Point. And they're improvising everything on the spot. We did a workshop with them, so they'll start playing the piano in a particular style, and you've just got to start singing. It's terrifying and amazing.
Yeah.
And it was like what the 11 o'clock number would have been. And she stood there and she's singing, and then she goes, "You can always build up from nil point." And I will never forget, the audience went absolutely mental because we were like, yes!
Yeah.
It was absolutely wild.
Love it. Yeah, those moments for the audience. Yeah, because I have a friend who has a theater company in town, and like if you can build in those little moments or like reference things that happened previously, it's so good. It's so clever. We love it so much.
We really do. It's absolutely it. I love it.
I'm just trying to troll the chat here and see if there's any questions we want to answer. How about poop?
Oh my god.
I know, I told you this bottom third thing is really neat. Do you have any other books with drag in them? Fiction books, I'm guessing, that you would recommend?
Yes. So Black Flamingo by Dean Atter, which is like probably one of the best books I've ever read in my entire life. It's written in verse. It is about a boy called Michael who is, if I'm remembering correctly, half Greek Cypriot, half Jamaican. And it follows his life from when he is born right up through his entire childhood, his teen years, right till he goes to university and discovers the magic of drag. And all the way along, he's trying to figure out who he is. And it's a celebration of queerness. And it's written in verse. I don't know if I said that. And it's utterly mind-blowing. I sat there on my bed at 2 o'clock in the morning and I cried. It was so good. So that's one.
Yep. I can back that one up. I've read that one last month and absolutely adored it.
Isn't it fantastic? It's just so good. And I think Dean reads the audiobook as well. So I kind of want to get it just to like experience that as well. So that was amazing. There's a couple of books that I have on my like to read list that are fiction that have drag queens in them. So there is Reverie by Ryan LaSala, Death Prefers Blondes by Caleb Rohrig. There's Kings, Queens, and In-Betweens. And I forgot the name of the author. Oh, okay, cool. Is it good?
Yeah, it was. And the author's actually from basically where I'm from-ish. So yeah.
So because I read about that one and I was like, that sounds amazing. I need that in my life.
Yeah, it was fun.
A couple of really good memoirs are Diary of a Drag Queen by Christelle Rasmussen, which is just hysterically funny. And Unicorn by Amriel Kadi, which is just beautiful. Like, I mean, I'm not a huge reader of memoirs. I kind of am very selective when it comes to reading memoirs because I'm a big YA reader. But I picked up Unicorn because I'd read Christelle Rasmussen's book and they mentioned Amru in it because they were in a group together called Denim that went to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and things like that. And so that's why I picked up Unicorn, and it's just a mind-blowingly gorgeous book. Like, it will break your damn heart, but oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah, that one's been on my wish list for ages now, and I keep trying to get my library to buy it so I can read it because I'm poor. So one of these days I will get around to it, but like, I've wanted it for so long. And aren't you are soon doing an event with that author, are you not?
I am. Yeah, so I'm going to Gaze the Word, and I think Amru is going to be like filming from home, and we're going to be doing like a live stream event from Gaze the Word, which is really, really exciting because it's one of those things where a publicist emailed and was like, we're trying to get Amru to interview for a Gaze the Word launch event. And I was like, excuse me? What? So that's kind of one of those incredible, like mind-blowing, like pinch yourself, is this happening author moments. And also to get to go to Gaze the Word, which is like this beautiful gay bookshop near Russell Square in London. And just to get to go there and like see my book in a shop that I absolutely adore is just, that's wild. I spend so much money there. Like it's like it's really it's quite bad. Like every time I go there, like I'll go there because like I've got a gift card or something like that, and it's like a £20 gift card, and I'll go there and spend the gift card, and then like another £40 just because it's like, but pretty hardbacks and gay things.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
I want all the things. Yeah, gays, the word is on my list of things to do the next time in London. I'm in London. I was meant to be there in April, and then obviously I was not there in April. But eventually, in the after times, I will be in London. And I will definitely go.
You should. It's so lovely. It's honestly like literally whenever I'm in London, I will always be like, how far am I from this? Can I go? Like, I think every time I went in for a meeting with someone at Pam Macmillan, I was, because the new office is not a million miles away. So I'll just be like, I'm just gonna go here. It's
check your watch. Do I have time? I have time.
I have time. Literally, I think in the writing blog that I watched during my crisis, I'd gone in to have lunch with my now marketing person Jess, and like I swung by Gaze the Word on the way home, got home, had food, wrote for a little bit, and then went and did a show. It was like, what is this that I'm doing? I shouldn't have done that. I was watching it and I was like, you should have just gone home. Like, you have to be. In the next clip you're complaining that you've not written anything.
You did this to yourself.
Oh, why do you like this? And I still do it now. I'm still that person now.
Yeah. I mean, if it brings you joy and, you know, reading, as a writer, you need to read things because that's research. So, you know, there's reasons around this. It's fine.
I agree.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my god, so fun.
I love it so much.
Oh.
Moonbook also wanted to know if you had ever heard of Booktube Goddess, who is a booktuber that does booktube and drag.
I have not, but now I have. I'm just gonna
write. Wonderful. Yeah, it's like and subscribe. Yeah,
that sounds glorious. Right? That sounds really fun. Like, because I mean, after I did my little like dragging myself up in my as looking like my own book. I was like, there were people that were like, do more of these, and I was like, but how? But how do I do this? So it turns out someone already is, so that's cool.
Yeah. Or I don't know, you could do book reviews and be doing a get ready with me as you're reviewing a book. I don't know. These are options, but it takes so long. So. Oh
my god! Like literally, like that video, I think took me like 2.5 hours to film. Because like it was just like it just takes a really long time. I've got I've got pretty big eyebrows, and that's a lot to kind of get rid of. And then there's enough time for me to like get it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been one of my things too. I'm like, if I do drag, I'm gonna have to glue all of this, and I'm just like, oh friend, that's a lot.
How many queens I know just like shaved off their eyebrows at the start of lockdown, and I was like, bold. But unfortunately, I need to look like my headshots.
Yeah, just a little bit. So we have another question for the lower third, which is, what's been the most fun thing in your build up to release day?
Oh my god, it's Steph. Hi, Steph. What's been the most fun thing in the build up to release day? Oh my god, I think seeing it. Do you know what? Like, even though we're in the Corona times, I don't think I could have asked for a better build up to a book coming out, because like I've had so many people saying so many really lovely things about the book, people sending pictures, people like putting in the effort to like make really beautiful Bookstagram pictures that have just got my book in it. Like, it's amazing. Like, it really warms my heart that like all of these things have happened, and it's been so lovely. And like, obviously this is not how we planned it, because obviously the Corona times, but like I couldn't have asked for a better run up, because everyone has been so nice and so supportive. And I say this in the acknowledgements of the book as well. Like, every time I post something bookish, I always wonder whether or not people will care. And there's always people that are like really excited for it and really buzzy for it, Steph being one of them, and who are always really like supportive, and it just means the absolute world. So yeah, I think everyone just kind of being very excited and being very supportive has been super lovely. And then there's just like things like this, because I was really excited to do this. Like, when you messaged me about it, I was like, that's really cool, let's do that. And like getting to do a blog tour, and like doing other like little things here and there, like the Gaze the Word event. It's like those are little like icings on a very, very lovely, very, very dragtastic cake. It's one of those ones that if you open it, like sweets fall out. Like it's one of those cakes. That's how this book release feels. We've gone into a really weird metaphor.
Oh, I like it.
But cake.
Cake that you cut open, and then it's more things, and I love it.
Well, that's the thing. Like it was like, okay, so it was one of those things where, yeah, oh yes, let's go with this metaphor. Like I knew that some things were going to happen. The book would come out. People would get copies of it. They might post about it. That was great. But what happened was more things than I expected possible. Like more loveliness than I ever could have anticipated. And like even to have like people who are friends of mine like being excited about the book, like they're so, it's just really like, I don't know, like you never go into it expecting it, and I think it's just really, really nice. And so in case I forget to say it at some point or I get too big for my boots or whatever, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has been so lovely and so excited about it, because it makes me feel like, it makes me feel so good, and it makes me feel like, because I mean, it'd be very easy to be like, oh, my book is coming out in Corona times and everything is terrible. And sure, it sucks, but you've made it amazing. So I couldn't have asked for a better book release. So that's all. Everyone else has done that. I've just been here. I just wrote the thing, and you've just been sending me nice things. It just feels really one-sided.
I love that. Also, I just saw in the chat that my friend Shell is there, and I'm pretty sure she is the person that introduced me to your channel in the first place. So I just wanted to put her lovely face on the screen because I love her so much.
Long time subscriber.
Oh yes, she is lovely. One of my favorite humans.
Me too.
Oh, yes. I also noticed when you went to run and grab books that your hat from your drag look is behind you, and I was like, yes. Yep. I was like, oh yes, I love it.
So it was a teeny tiny hat.
Yep.
That I made. Like, literally, so many proofs were destroyed to make that gown. Like the gown that wasn't even officially finished. Like
yeah, just the front of the gown, not the back of the gown.
The front of the gown was finished. The back of it, but also like, there's that part of me that was like, maybe I should have done Yalk like that. Like that would have been hilarious. The back of this garment is not. Although I've got like a bunch of like skinned proofs under my under my desk right now. So I probably could have like created like a train or something. I don't know. But would I have? Who's to say?
Yeah, you could have done a whole thing with just papers of like one of the proofs, because obviously now they're coverless, so you might as well destroy one of them. Who knows?
That's why I've got like, so that's why, because I was going to throw them out because I've had like a massive clear out, and I was going to throw them out, but I thought, but I could learn how to like, I could get another corset and I could make something that is like full paper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But like, you know, why not? I mean, with how hard it was making that last one, it's like I'd need to get like a dress form or something if I'm going to do that, because it was like,
yeah, or like pasting directly onto a corset or something with
that was directly onto a corset.
Okay,
that was directly onto a corset, and even that was like, I think because if I'd have done it on a body form or a dress form, then it would have been at the tightness that it should have been. But because I was doing it off of that, it meant that I like tied it, and you just hear like as like a couple of things just like came up, and it was like, we're just going to ignore those sounds.
Paper is difficult to work with.
No, I mean, all it was like, do you know what? If I get on Drag Race and I've not learned how to sew, that's what's going to send me home. Oh, I'll go home on the design challenge.
Oh, yes.
I will be that queen that's like, you don't know how to sew, and I'll be like, no, I know.
I hot glue, yeah. Hannah wants to know what's the most difficult part about translating from a visual medium like drag to text.
I think the hardest thing about, thank you for your question, Hannah. I think the hardest thing about it was trying to get across that feeling of liveness, because I talked about this when I was writing my essay for my drag thing. I had to talk about my performance a lot, and it's trying to get across that feeling of something being live and being very in the moment and being very, very personal to someone, and trying to put the reader right there. Because I've been in a lot of rooms where there's been drag, so it's like I know how it feels, but then it's like that's how it feels to me. So then it's like, how does it feel to Robin? Like, what is this doing to Robin in that moment? And I stole from my life for that moment when he's watching okay, bye for the first time, because that's exactly what happened to me. I was in the apple tree in Clerkenwell watching Cheryl Hole twirling around the stage just before she was on Drag Race as well. Watching her twirling around the stage, and I was just sat there next to my friend Hannah Teresa, crying my eyes out, because I'd just done my drag show like a couple of weeks before, and I'd finished my essay, and I was like, I just want to do drag so much. It was a mess. So it's trying to get across that feeling of like, what is it doing to you? What is it that's calling out to you about that? I think that's what was the hardest part, was trying to make that work. Because I think originally, I think maybe what Rachel was after was someone who watches Drag Race and enjoys drag and wants to do drag because they've watched Drag Race. And that's a perfectly valid way to do drag. Absolutely, 100%. If you love Drag Race and you want to do drag, great. I loved Drag Race and I was like, I think I want to do drag. It was seeing that performance that was like, I need to do this more. It was like seeing drag excellence in front of my very eyes that kind of did that, which is why I'm so very much like, go and see some local drag. It will change your life, because I really think it will. Did I answer that question, or did I just go off on a tangent?
I think you did. Yeah, it's definitely very different to see something in person right in front of your face and have it be as excellent as TV cuts make things look, because you can be like, oh, they could have just done the editing and that's why that looks amazing. But like when you're seeing it right in front of your face in real time, and then like trying to explain that feeling is very difficult, and unfortunately your job when you're writing a novel.
Right?
So.
Like there's something so, and the thing is, different moments will have a different effect on people. Like watching a drag queen called Me, watching her do As If We Never Said Goodbye from Sunset Boulevard. I was stood, it was the first time I'd been by myself. I think I'd always gone with people before, but I was stood at the back of the apple tree watching her do As If We Never Said Goodbye, and I was just weeping. I was openly weeping, because apart from it being a very emotional song from the musical anyway, from the musical Sunset Boulevard, I was just like, I was so captivated by the way that she was doing it. Like, it's acting through song. It's sensational. When you see it done really, really well, it's absolutely sensational. And those are the performances that stick with me. Like on Drag Race, in my opinion, that's what makes a lip sync assassin. Someone who is like so connected to what they're doing that even if it is like an up tempo song, they are in it and they are doing it in such a way that is just so like absolutely it, I think.
Yeah. I think we've all, those of us who go to live theater when we could, have had those moments where you just can't look away from what somebody's doing on stage, because you're just like, but how and how do I do?
Yeah, and it's absolutely the same with like with plays, with musical theatre as well. It's exactly the same, where you kind of see where okay, another example is Imelda Staunton in Gypsy. I spent far too much money on tickets to go and see that because everyone had said how great it was, and I went to watch it and just was absolutely blown away by it. Like, I've never seen anything like it. I'll never forget that performance. It's absolutely wild.
I don't know if you will know the answer to this question, but do you happen to know what other languages your book will be published in?
At the moment, I know of one. Don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it yet.
That's totally fine. Don't break any contracts. We're not here for that.
I definitely meant to ask because I had to write something for them. But like, at the moment, to my knowledge, there is one other language, and I was really excited because like I got the email through it and it was like, we've sold a translation deal, and I was like, oh my god, yay! It was just like, it was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have like a foreign language version of my book on my shelf. That's amazing. Yep. So that was kind of cool, but I don't think I can say right now. But I will check and I will tweet about it if I'm allowed.
Perfect.
But like, it was one of those. I'm gonna be that asshole author now. But like, they were like, oh, they and they published this person and they published this person, and I was like, oh, okay, because it's like I really like it. I was like, this. It was another like one of these things is not like the other. And
just one of those days you're gonna figure out, oh yes, I do belong. Yay.
When did that happen? I don't know what that is. I feel like I have that for so many other things, and I'm like, I'm still not here.
And then suddenly it'll be 10 years since your book was published, and you'll be like, oh yeah, there was a time before this.
They'll be doing the 10th anniversary hardback edition.
Oh yes, I will visit. I will come visit so you can sign it for me. It will be great.
I remember when they sent me the proof. Oh my god, I'm throwing books on my shelf. When they sent me the proof, this is the proof.
Yeah.
they sent me that and like a picture of it, and I said, so this is what we'll do on the dust jacket of the like anniversary hardback, right? So you had it here first. That's what I'm gunning for.
Yeah, perfect.
If people still care about my book in 10 years' time, that's what we'll do.
Excellent. How do I pre-order the 10-year anniversary?
Oh my god.
Give me some links. Oh my goodness. So I only said I'd take up about an hour of your time. We're getting close there. So I wanted to know if there's anything else coming up for you that you wanted to make sure people know about.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, so what have I got? Blog tour stuff is happening at the moment. So there are like some incredible actually there's a lot of incredible bloggers on this tour who are doing lovely, lovely things for me, and they're writing reviews and they're posting like little pieces that I've written for them that are about drag and drag queens and my experience getting in drag. There's so many different ones coming up that I'm really, really excited for people to read, because there are things that are really, really fun to write. So that is like a constant. And if you follow me on Twitter at the George Lester, which is just my name with a "the" at the front of it, because that was like a branding choice that I made when I was like 18, and I was like, I've stuck with it for so long. So I'm doing that. So if you follow me on Twitter, I'm like reposting them whenever they come up. So that's really fun. Next Thursday? Hang on, wait. I'm going to get my calendar because I want to do this right. Hold the phone. Hold the actual phone. Next Wednesday at 7 p.m. I will be live with Gaze the Word from the actual bookshop, which is wild. If you go to my Twitter, I will repost the link when this is over so that you can order. I think you have to like book your spot.
Yeah, you have to register. Yeah. I'm like already registered, which is how I know.
Yay! It's free, so you can just come along. So you can come along and watch. It's not a paid for thing. Then next Thursday, and this is wild, and I've not talked about this yet.
Ooh.
I'm doing an Instagram live with Justin Myers, who is the author of The Last Romeo and The Magnificent Sons. And The Magnificent Sons comes out tomorrow, and I finished it recently, and it's really, really good.
Okay, so I'm going to be adding so many things to my wish list.
That's amazing. And then like right on the 20th of August, and I'm really excited for this because I've already talked about how much I love this book. I'm doing an Edinburgh Book Festival like online event with Dean Atter, who wrote Flamingo, which I'm so excited for. The picture that they have on their website of the two of us together, like we're not together, we're like apart together. And I've screenshotted it because it just made me smile, because this is literally how I feel when I look at Dean Atter.
Oh.
Like it's me looking up at him being like, you're so wonderful. That's literally how I feel. That again, I think that is a paid for event. But there'll be links to that on my Twitter as well. And you can follow me on Instagram, where I'm like posting as regularly as I can and posting my books as drag looks.
Which
like,
I'm loving, obviously.
Thank you. I've got like so many sitting in my drafts on my Instagram, and it's just like, because I'm aesthetic obsessed and I want my Instagram to look pretty. So like, this is what she currently looks like. And it's just like sticking with that. I can't scroll looking at a screen. So it's like so they have to be on like this side. So it's like, it's a whole big thing, but yeah.
I love it.
You can follow me on Instagram at the George Lester as well. Instagram is so much fun. I like making pretty things. So I think that's why I like Instagram so much.
This one wasn't a question, but I just wanted to point out that we need a party on the anniversary with your own cocktail. So you've got 10 years to figure out what that should be.
I mean, like, I'm not a huge cocktail drinker, but I feel like it would have to be red and it would have to have like sparkles in it.
Oh yeah, you could definitely do something with grenadine and like that edible sparkle stuff.
Yeah, like something very like cosmopolitan-esque. It would need to be in a fun-shaped glass.
Oh yeah.
That kind of vibe. That's what I feel.
Yeah. I love it. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I've been looking forward to this for ages, and I loved it.
I was so excited when you messaged me, because I was like, "This is such a cool idea," and like, I'm head over heels for your channel, so this is really, really exciting for me.
Thank you. Aww. Okay, well, everybody make sure to go follow George in all the places mentioned, and pre-order the book or go grab the book tomorrow, depending on what you want to do.
It comes out tomorrow. How wild is that? How did that happen?
I don't know, time keeps ticking by at 1 second per second, and it just catches up with you.
I mean, time, man. Like, what the hell? Like, we were literally like looking at stuff the other day. Like, I think on the 2nd of August was the day that we left Mount View, and that was a year ago. A year ago on the 2nd of August, and we were just all like, "What is time? How has this happened?" Like,
Mhm.
yeah. What is life?
What is life?
Another existential questions. That's for another live stream.
Exactly. All right. Thank you to everyone that came to this, and yeah, read Boy Queen because it's lovely. I really enjoyed it. You should do the thing. Okay, I'm going to end. Yay! Oh, it's so beautiful. I love it so much. Okay, I am